Pardon me. Pardon me. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Saturday, the 15th of February, 2025, day 1087 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. I'm Peter Alexievich, and this is the Live at 5 from Kyiv, this major European capital currently under siege by the Russian army. Hey, Weibo, how are you doing? I see the peeps are coming in. Anthony Tommy Tom, how you doing? Big thanks to Beatrice Sella, who is the sponsor of tonight's live. And tonight is going to be an Ask Me Anything. We can talk about anything you would like related to Ukraine or the Trump administration's betrayal of Ukraine. Hey, Chris Carter. Hey, Nightshade. Hey, Debbie. Me too, Anthony. Me too, pal. You're not the only one. Believe you me, it's crazy. It's complete chaos theory, right? It's shock doctrine. Shock doctrine. Who is that? Naomi Klein, the sociologist, talks about overwhelming the public's cognitive capabilities with chaos. And that's exactly what we're being subjected to right now. Hey, Simon. Hey, Lars. The USA is currently in the process. The U.S. federal system is currently in the process of being subverted by a long-term disinformation campaign against the people of the United States that has been remarkably effective. Hey, Bernard. Hey, Michael Daly. Yeah, Michael, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. J.D. Vance made it very clear that the U.S. position is that we will no longer guarantee European security. Hey, Bobby. And that is an amazingly stupid position to take. All of our post-World War II prosperity is dependent upon a peaceful and prosperous Europe. So to not guarantee European security as the armorer of the free world is to cut off our nose to spite our face. It is an insanely myopic position to take. Yeah, you and me both, Arn. You and me both, pal. Hey, Parda. How you doing, buddy? Hey, Lars. Hey, Bip. Sorry. It's not Veer, it's Bip, right? Hey, Mad Mike. Thank God it's Friday, buddy. Thank God it's Friday. Good evening, Shirley. How are you doing tonight? Happy St. Valentine's Day to everybody. I hope everybody had a good day. Nice day. Yeah, Crawdaddy, but more importantly, there are allies because we have such a long-standing, successful relationship with them. And those relationships have made us rich. And now we're just going to ignore all of that. Thank you, Teresa. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Well, thanks, the kid. I'm not feeling real good about it. It's a tough week, boy. I mean, I am sick, right? Like, there's that. Like, you get that, like, oh, I don't care about anything. It's all shit. But seriously, it's a bad scene. Hey, Chef Deb, how you doing? Yeah, Bernard, the problem is there seem to be fewer of us than those enthralled to the copper tone con man. It's ridiculous. The kid, where are you? It is, Eliminator. It's a kick in the gut. My heart is literally broken. Hey, Birdie, how you doing? The city or the state? Peskov said accusing them of hitting Chernobyl is a manipulation and a provocation, rather than what it is, a fact. Hey, Henry. Hey, Chris Carter, how you doing, buddy? You out on the island, right on. God, I haven't been out on Long Island in a million years, it feels like. I mean, the last time I was really out, like up by the South Fork, was for a wedding, which has to be 20 years ago now that I think about it. Holy shit, it has to be. Whew. Hey, Flippy, how you doing? Wish Lily a happy birthday for me, would you? I know, Debbie, right? It's embarrassing. So Bip wants to know, will European countries step up even more supporting Ukraine since the U.S. has turned in, I don't know what that word is. I don't know what that means, but I assume it means Benedict Arnold, traitor kind of thing. So that remains to be seen, but it does seem to be the case. There's strong talk coming out of both France and the UK. Germany, not so much. But, I'm sick and tired. There's no two ways about it. Hey, Jeff. Nice. Good. So, Eliminator, as far as Dr. K goes, she's at the Munich Security Conference. So she's totally busy for the next few days. Then Monday, she's traveling. And we're talking about maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, hopefully, to have her on. For me, ideally, it would be Tuesday. Yeah, Chernobyl is not a false flag. That is nonsense of the first order. You cannot tell me that the people that live here are going to risk the kind of contamination that would come from it in their own backyards. Yalta, that's exactly what Putin and Trump are pulling. They're sitting in their ivory towers, carving up the world between them, as if the world's opinion does not matter. Downey's already gone, Bertie. Don't worry about him. He was clearly a troll. Yeah, Jeff, right? They pulled the Shahed engine out from that middle layer between it's like a double hull on a ship, right? The new safe confinement building is like a double-hulled ship. And yes, it's true. A high-explosive drone did pierce the first layer. It did not pierce the second layer. It did not get anywhere near the sarcophagus, as everybody is reporting. The sarcophagus is the cover on reactor 4 that is then contained within the new safe confinement building. And that's a double layer, and only the first layer of that was penetrated. So there is no risk of radioactive contamination coming through that hole because the hole doesn't go all the way through to where the radiation is. There's multiple layers of polycarbonate and steel in between. So I think Russia knows this, right? I think that Russia understands how to do basic math so you can figure out how much explosive you need to penetrate the double layer, the double hull. And that drone only had enough to make a hole, not even a big hole, but a hole in the first layer. Now, could you fly more drones through that hole and pierce the rest of it? You could. But Russia knows which way the wind blows. It blows to Russia. When Chernobyl went up, they had high radiation levels in Russia, in Moscow. Do the Russians want to risk that? I don't think so. Do you think EU has what it takes that USA can't do? Eliminator, I don't have any idea. I really don't know. I don't have any idea. Remember, I am not an expert, right? I'm a news aggregator. I look at the news and I talk about what's happening in the news to the best of my ability. I don't have insight into the real readiness of Europe or the political will, which is constantly being eroded by Russian disinformation operations through parties like the AfD, Hungary's Orban, Slovakia's Fico. So it's very hard to say what's going to happen next. And I wouldn't pretend to know. Hey, Fitz. Weapon production is behind. There's no doubt about it. Now, that's also possible, right? Incompetence. User telephone number there says, mistake, I think, goes to show they can't control their drones. That is possible. Or the drone itself was a victim of Ukrainian electronic warfare, and it was uncontrolled and happened to go into the building. That's not impossible either. However, the fact that this is happening on the eve of the Munich Security Conference, and we know how Putin loves to send a message to the Munich Security Conference. Remember, it's a year ago today that just before she was supposed to speak at Munich, Alexei Navalny's wife got the news that he was dead in a Russian gulag. And that was a warning to the West. And I believe that this was also a warning to the West. Remember, we can go nuclear. It's nuclear saber rattling in real life, is what I think. I don't think it was an accident. It could have been an accident, sure. I don't believe it was. I mean, I'm with you, Bobby. I would love to see all those Russian funds handed right over to Ukraine. Thanks, Dust Bunny. Hey, G2. So, guys, it's not a regular live at 5 because I've been sick all week. And I don't know how long my voice is going to hold out. And I'm okay. I'm just, run down. Hey, Garsh. At this point, I'm just run down. I'm coughing a little bit now, but not like I was before. Holy cow. Holy cow, bunga. So the doctor fixed me up. Who's more dangerous, Putin or Trump? Trump, I think, is clearly more dangerous because Trump is out to destroy the United States, which has been the guarantor of democracy in the world. And he is clearly out to destroy that. Putin, we knew what he was, right? Hold on. We always knew what Putin was. But Trump is a snake in the grass. And he's destroying the country that I love and the way of life that I love in favor of a cult of personality dedicated to him. Did you see now he wants his face on Mount Rushmore? He wants to fund his own face on Mount Rushmore. Hey, Brian Cornbow, how you doing? It is nice to see all the peeps here. Thanks, Ram. Yeah, and Weibo, for us Americans, hey, Pedro, for us Americans who are still sane, to our Canadian friends, I want to say, I don't believe that the US military will take orders to invade seriously. I think they will see that as an illegal order and they will refuse to carry it out. At least I hope so. Assuming that in the meantime, Trump doesn't destroy the economy of North America, which he seems strongly intent on doing. 90% of the updates today were about Trump and the minions, very little on the war. Not from me. My updates were all about the war. Yep, Cassie, you are right. What's up with throwing drones against protective dome in Cerno? I don't know what Cerno is, but I think you mean Chernobyl. But Chernobyl, I think it was a warning to the West because it's the weekend of the Munich Security Conference, and Putin loves to make a statement during the Munich Security Conference. I mean, Henry, can you believe that the AP is banned from the White House because they won't kowtow to the delusions of this Tangerine Palpatine? Congratulations, Michael. TikTok is back in the App Store. Yep. Do I think Zelensky will give territory away? I think Zelensky will make the best deal he can for the Ukrainians. What that's going to shape up like, I don't know. Trump-Putin connections are dangerous for U.S. security, not only Ukraine. I would argue, Freebie, that they're dangerous for the world. Not just Ukraine or not just Europe, but for the whole world. Conflicting statements from members of the Trump administration should surprise no one. I don't know that to be true, Paul. European press is heavy on USA, but also on Ukraine as sideline to the news stories. Would we give up Alaska? Well, we're going to see, aren't we? We're going to see just how enthralled to Putin Trump is, because Putin's been talking about getting Alaska back. Think Zelensky should try to advance in real estate to expand. So the Ukrainians are gaining ground in Kursk. The Ukrainians just expanded the Kursk incursion by about 35 square kilometers in the last week, which is more of an advance than we've seen from the Russians in America. Now, how is this possible? How did that happen? How does this keep happening? I don't know who that was, but thank you for checking out. I don't know how that's happening. Thank you, Mr. McGowan. I appreciate it. I should definitely not be president. Oh, that's funny. So, Bip, I agree, right? Like, I do think Russia is on the back foot. We just saw today, we got word that in Kursk, the North Koreans re-entered the battle. And a company and a half, about 150 North Koreans were engaged in a multi-wave, 16-hour pitched battle just to the west of Malaya Loknia. And there were no survivors among the Russians and the Koreans. So, yeah. Martin McGee says, I've delivered aid to Ukraine 3 times, never met a stronger people. Neat. Thank you, Martin. Do it to it, man. We need to unite as one. That would be nice. Ukraine hit a military facility near Yelizavetka, Kursk region, destroyed a platoon. I don't know anything about that, Nightshade. There is a man-woman shaped button at the bottom of the screen to make a join request. Yeah, but I'm not hitting it. I'm not hitting it. And I keep getting people coming into the box as if I had. Now, the mods have the ability to do that, but I think the only mod here is Jay, and I don't think that he's doing that. But I don't know. Hey, Cake Boy and Banjo are here. Hey, guys. Why would Zelensky stop fighting unless he gets almost all he wants in negotiations? Well, maybe because he doesn't have the support of the United States as #1 arms provider and humanitarian aid provider, or we were anyway. I think recently the Europeans outpaced us. You have to turn off invites. I don't know how to do that right now, so I'll have to look at that. It's definitely not 4D chess with fucking Trump. You got to be kidding me. He's not playing chess. He's playing cornhole. Right. If Putin wanted the war to stop, he'd just withdraw. Now that's interesting, Bermuda. That might be the reason. If a mod had changed it to auto approve when they request, okay, that's the setting I'll have to look for. 42 is the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. The Ukrainians aren't giving up. It is not true that the Germans declared an emergency. From talking to a buddy of mine in Germany, Schultz did say he wanted to declare an emergency, but my German friends seem to think that that's mostly all about just fear tactics ahead of the election. Yeah, Trump is not a chess player. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The universe, some facts to help you live in it. Art, none. Well, actually, the purpose of art is to hold a mirror up to nature. And given the size of the universe, there's just no mirror large enough. How big is the universe? Big, really big. Like you think it's a long way down the street to the chemist. That's peanuts compared to the universe. Imagine a walnut in the middle of Johannesburg, for example. Population 0. Since there are an infinite number of planets, simply because there is an infinite amount of space for them to be in, but only a finite number of planets are inhabited, the average population of all planets is next to nothing, net zil. Therefore, any people you meet are the product of a deranged imagination. tidbits from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It may likely be much larger than we have been able to observe. We do not believe that space is infinite, Bobby. But of course, that raises the very curious question of, well, what's outside it then? That's scary. Oh, from the book. Oh, it's one of my favorites. I first read that book in 8th grade. When the BBC did the radio play, I listened to that. When they made the miniseries, I watched that. When the first version of the film came out, I anticipated that. Nobody has the industrial capacity currently to make it possible for Ukraine to fire off 10,000 shells a day, which is what the Russians have been firing off. Now it's down to closer to 3,000 shells a day for the Russians and 2,000 a day for the Ukrainians. But not even Europe altogether and the US together could supply Ukraine with 300 shells a month. It's not a possibility. Space is expanding like a balloon, yep. And the rate of expansion is increasing. There will come a day in the future where the galaxies will be so far apart that you will not be able to observe them. We are living at a time where the galaxies are still so close together that we can see the other ones. Eventually, that will not be the case, Bobby. What happened with Poroshenko? I heard Zelensky blocked his values. Oh, he sanctioned Poroshenko. All of his property's been seized if he had any left in Ukraine. He's been hiding in Russia for 10 years, right? But he's been strongly sanctioned, as I understand it. The size of the universe pales in comparison to the size of Trump or Putin's egos. You are not kidding. I think the real Gulf of America is the space between Trump's ears. Good evening, Lithuania. Lithuania is in the house. Persevalis. Cheaper solution, paper drones. The moon is flat and not round. Well, it's rounded at the edges, right? Because it's green cheese. You and me both, Dust Bunny. Hey, Greek stray dogs. Boy, I could use a week in Amsterdam. I really could. Well, not this week because I'm sick. I wouldn't be able to make good use of it. But someday I'll get back to Amsterdam. It could be, Flip. I'm not sure if it's Poroshenko or Yanukovych or if it's both. I'm honestly not sure. Thanks, Greek. Anthony, I hate the way you tease. Don't give up on Ukraine just because Trump's a traitor. The space between Trump's ears. Yep, that's the Gulf of America. Thanks, Chef Deb. The British have been leading on this all along. You really have to give the British hell, or give the British credit. They were the first to supply non-lethal aid. They were the first to supply tanks. They were the first to supply fighter jets, right? Or no, give long-range weapons, rather. Um, so they've been the first all along. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a personal hero of mine, Mark Charles, whose lectures have strongly impacted my view of the universe. No two ways about it. If there is a ceasefire, will you come home? No. No, Bobby. If it's just a ceasefire where the war could go hot again, what I'm thinking of doing right now is turning the channel into a kind of Ukraine-focused tourist channel. All the best restaurants, all the best places to go, best places to stay, and personal tours of Kyiv for American and European tourists coming into Ukraine is what I'm thinking of. I don't really have a plan, pal. But this week when I was sick, I asked myself that same question. And in kind of a fever dream, I imagined a travel focus, because people are going to want to come here after this. When the shooting stops, lots of people from this channel even will want to come here. And I will want to meet you, and I will want to show you around Kyiv and talk about what might be. A ceasefire is going to be fragile. I don't believe a ceasefire will last very long. So I said before, I am not leaving this country till the Russians do. And that's where I'm at. Though I do have to make a trip home at some point, Bobby. And if there were a ceasefire announced, that would probably be the time to do it. If Z lands a $5 billion deal on minerals, do you think he will get to buy the hardware he wants from Spraytan? Well, Arn, I thought that was supposed to be the deal, right? I thought that was supposed to be the deal, but apparently the deal that the U.S. was trying to shove down Ukraine's throat was not like a trade of fair market value. No, it was give us $500 billion in your rare earth minerals and pay us back for everything that we have put forward till now. Pay us back. This is like giving a homeless person a sandwich that cost you $2 and then turning to that homeless person and saying, oh, now you owe me $500 billion. That's what this was like. Now, look, if the Ukrainians want to trade at fair market value for rare earths for weapons, and they think that's a good idea for them, then by God, good for them. Do it. And those weapons would come with no restrictions, I would assume. But that was not the deal, as I understand it. So I'm glad that he didn't sign it. Right, Mark Charles? You right, we'll go on tour. Damn Skippy. Yeah, Kyiv is a great town, isn't it, Derek? Okay, God doesn't have anything to do with this. If God had anything to do with this, thousands of Ukrainian children would not have been sold as sex slaves to the Russian pornographers, perverts, and sadomasochistic pieces of shit as objects for them to do with as they would. Please, give me a break. God. Now, Arn, If they drop a nuke on Kyiv, I might just have to take you up on that offer of the cabin. Yeah, I'd like to have a picnic on a Crimean beach. Can the USA restrict the British missiles being used in Russia? No, not in any way that I mean, the US has a lot of political clout to spend. Is it possible they could intimidate UK in some way? It's hard to say, but I don't see them doing that or involving themselves in that. Bobby, I love the way you always cast me as bogey. Thank you. Thank you very much. Kharkiv's a beautiful city. I like Kharkiv a lot. Thank you, Aaron. Book yours today. Well, not today, as soon as the ceasefire happens. Good evening, Ontario. Oh, Trump is betraying both Ukraine and America. Make no mistake. Well, I don't know that they're steamrolling in Kursk. They're making progress, but it's not clear to me how painful that progress is. Nobody needs Trump, in my opinion. Fitz, that's a great idea. Maybe Ukraine can cut a deal with another country with the minerals so Trump can lose again. See, Olympius, that's what I'm worried about. United States of Russia. That's exactly what I'm worried about. Jesus Christ, I didn't need to know that. I wonder what I said. Oh, you know, I never talk about it bit because it's the worst part of this thing, as far as I'm concerned. But we have to look at the evil that is being done. Well, Mr. M, I don't suggest that anyone come to Ukraine right now unless you have a purpose for being here. This is not the time for tourists to come. And your family will never forgive you if you come home in a wooden box. So until there is a ceasefire, I don't encourage anybody to come here. However, if you are from Sweden, there are lots of organizations that are driving aid and vehicles to Ukraine. If you wanted to volunteer to drive a vehicle here, that would be the best way to come to Kyiv this summer. Ukraine has set the Russian military way, way back. Ukraine should make a deal with South Korea. The problem is South Korean law prohibits the selling of weapons to parties that are at war. They are meant to be defensive only. Some genius did bomb Chernobyl reactor number 4 shield. That genius's name is Vladimir Putin. So yeah, if the South Koreans rewrite their law or, make an exception for Ukraine by the law, then such a thing could happen. I don't understand why it's not good enough for the United States for the Ukrainians to nationalize the production, say, of neodymium, right? Because the neodymium deposits are in Ukraine-controlled Ukraine, unlike the lithium deposits, which are in the temporarily occupied territories. So let's say the neodymium deposits, right? Why can't Ukraine nationalize those take the stuff out of the ground, hand it over to the United States. At the current market price, say, okay, now Ukraine, you have a credit for this many dollars in weapons. That to me is a no-brainer, and it's a fair deal for everybody, but not Trump. He wants it all for nothing. He wants access to trillions of dollars worth of minerals for a lousy $500 billion credit for weapons, which, by the way, is only $300 billion, because he wants to take out of that the $183 billion that's already been approved and spent on Ukraine. He wants it all paid back, even though we said they were gifts or aid. It's ridiculous. Michael, those kids were not kidnapped to replenish the Russian population. That's not what they are for. They are commodities to be bought and sold on the dark web to the worst people in the world. I mean, maybe a few hundred went to proper Russian homes for the optics of it. But you can be sure that the people in those homes are no one you would give your children to. Why don't you do a live outside in the city to show people what it looks like? Yeah, it's a good idea. I've tried doing that in the past. The city is a very loud city. It's tough to do lives outside, honestly. I mean, I suppose I could plug in a headset and a microphone. Fitz, you are the best. I'll tell everybody right now, Fitz paid my phone and my electric, not phone bill. No, not phone bill. Oh, no, you did pay the phone bill, didn't you? Yeah, no, you did. Fitz very thoughtfully paid my phone and internet bill this month. So thank you, Fitz. I did leave a phone on the table once. That was a while ago, Arn. That was seriously like last summer, right? Or last spring even. And the war is not going to end. Like, let's be clear about that. If Trump manages a ceasefire right now, all that's going to happen is Russia's going to rearm and they're going to come back twice as strong as soon as they can. That's all that's going to happen. We have traded dishonor for war, is what we have traded. Yeah, Trump is letting Russian spies run wild again. Stop eating the gummies. Yeah, fuck you. If I could get my hands on gummies, I would eat them by the handful. No two ways about it. I think J.D. Vance is a piece of shit. And I think his speech was full of shit. No, we don't have a no confidence vote. We have impeachment. And that is a problem because the Republican Party is completely enthralled to their cult leader. The Republicans aren't a political party anymore. They're a cult, owned and operated completely by Donald Trump. Thanks, Eastwood. I was very pleased coming to Ukraine on my flight into Warsaw. I stopped in Dublin, and I became the first person in my family to set foot in Ireland in 6 generations. My mother's whole family is Irish, all the way back. And it was the first time somebody from my line had set foot in Ireland in 6 generations. I have some friends from college living in Dublin, and I had a nice time catching up with them. I won 500 euros at the casino. It literally paid for my stop in Dublin. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Hey, Van. Hey, ho, Pugga Mahone. Hey, Rocco. Yeah, no, Trump doesn't honor treaties either. Pistorius did give a good speech after the Vance BS. He called Vance's comments regrettable and said that it was foolish to give up the best cards in your hand before you got to the negotiations. Can you believe McConnell is still in the Senate? My God. Hey, Colm. Galway, Mayo, Kerry, Cork. So my mother's family is from Mayo. My father's, no, I'm sorry, my mother's father's family hail from Cork. Commander in Cheat. Who's that by, Jeff? I don't know that one. Hey, Romich. Oh, you in Kentucky, Bip. Yeah. The rebel county. You're talking about Cork. So that's when my mother's father's family left Ireland. They were Murphys, and in the Revolution of 1798, they backed the wrong side. My 5 times great grandfather and his brother were both executed, tied to a chair after that revolution eastward. And their sons, well, my 5 times great grandfather's brother was a priest, but my direct line descendant or ancestor, his children and their mother fled the country when they were dispossessed of their property and titles at that time. Hey, Paul Steele from Cheshire, England. Einstein, I'm sorry if I don't even know what language that is. So sorry. Thanks, Michael. Did you see that? That's a new thing for me, doing stand-up comedy. That was my very first set, real comedy show set. And I feel like it didn't go terribly. Okay. It's just about 9 minutes to 1 a.m. here. I'm definitely feeling it. You might be interested in this. I just noticed I have A message here from a guy that I know in the Ukrainian armed forces. He said, in my humble opinion, we have to expect some non-quiet nights. What a turn of phrase, non-quiet nights. What he means is nights of loud explosions that could kill you. Usually before a period of stop shutting, Russians try to use everything to clean up their warehouses. And then during period of silence, they renew weaponry in a fast manner. So be careful during air alarms. On front line, they are already more aggressive. So that's it right from the horse's mouth. Enjoy your pizza. Right, Dave? They live below poverty lines because the people at the top steal everything for themselves. Hey, there's Lars from Encino Tech, who has been a major supporter of this channel throughout the last 18 months. And Lars will be sponsoring Tuesday's Live next week. Fitz will sponsor Monday's Live. Lars will sponsor Tuesdays. And tonight, again, I would remind everybody, big thanks to Beatricella, Cynthia and her husband, Tony, who are sponsoring tonight. Thank you, guys. Okay. So, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Thanks to any of the moderators that are here. Thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server, and Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group. Why does Vance not say to Russia, expect to cede territories? And Nightshade answers the question quite clearly. Putin's goal was to stop Ukraine from joining NATO and seizing land. And Trump wants to give him both. It's right there. Hey, Richard Prexis. I didn't even see you in here tonight. Hey, Mike. Slancha. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks so much. Guys, if anybody wants to sponsor live, we only have live sponsors through Tuesday. PayPal is in the description. If you are not a Patreon member, at least get yourself a free Patreon account, please, and follow the Patreon. And even better, if you can kick me $5 a month, it would really make a difference in helping to keep me here in Ukraine and bringing, things like this text from here on the ground directly to you. Thanks, everybody. Take care.